You ever taken a serious look at your game maps? You know, the stuff you make yourself, the stuff that comes with the particular system you're playing, older stuff. Now take a look at this one here, right? I don't know if you recognize it. Some of you might. This is actually a game map that came with the Judges Guild system. This one is Campaign Map 14, Emmett Tundra. So if you look at it, this is actually representing tens of thousands of square miles according to their scale. Which whatever reason they didn't post on this particular map. And for the most part, it's almost empty, right? But that's what you would expect for a tundra. It's just like on the reverse is the Ginhar Campaign Map 11, which is basically an island chain off the coast of a major continent, right? Look at all that. So now, Judges Guild's map system, and this is where these little notch outs came. That or the mice chewed through this. No, the mice chewed through this one. You can see the tooth marks. Something got to it. Maybe it was a bug. I don't know. And I did this. You can take all of their maps, and each major campaign book came as a cellophane wrap package, and it was this O's paper printed, low grade paper, low grade artwork booklet about yay thick, and it gave you a lot of information and maps and background stuff in very abbreviated forms. And then each one included 4 of these maps, and together there was 24 of them, 28 of them. I'm not exactly sure right now off the top of my head total, and they were designed to go literally together. So you had this one continuous map at the same scale, and you would end up doing things like I can't do that. Frustrated GM. I like your style, my friend, but I'm not vain or nothing. It just freaks me out when I can't see what I'm doing. Anyway, the game maps for that particular system, I laid them out. You could wallpaper a significant size wall in your den or in your family room if you have one. In my case, I laid it out across the floor of the garage, my dad's 2.5 car garage, and it covered a big, huge chunk of it because I wanted to see the whole thing in perspective. And on a number of occasions, I hung as many of them up on the wall as they could fit, but they wouldn't all fit. And so we focused on the areas we were playing in. This was an early game system, a world system for Dungeons and Dragons and other game sword and sorcery style game systems from the 60s and 70s era. So a lot of this actually predates most of D&D as we know it. But like I said, the Judges Guild people, they created some of the best maps as far as I'm concerned. I'm not saying that they're by far the most colorful or the most creative or what have you, but okay. Here's another one. This is the city-state of Tarantus, and on both sides. So here's, a very elaborate city, right? And then on the back, we got the regional map of the surrounding areas, and so what we got here, they got a scale for the city on the back, but I don't think they have a scale for the territorial map. Campaign map 4. And so if I was to take campaign map 4 and I was to take, this map, I put it up on the wall, and I could get the next campaign maps that went with it, and put them on the wall, and they would overlap together just like so. And they would play along and blend perfectly together seamlessly, except for the borders, of course. And in this case, we would have a very elaborate map system pre-made, and we wouldn't have to go as the game master, spend gobs and gobs of time creating our own. Although, let's face it, that's a big part of the enjoyment for a lot of us, is this world building, creating this stuff. And then we go on, and here we go, and yet another Judges Guild map. This one's also been violated by a mouse, unfortunately. I'm not sure. This is a smaller town. I'm not sure exactly what, because it doesn't say. Doesn't say. So I think it came with one of the supplemental game module things. And then we talk about other maps, right? So here's the one that came with Twilight 2000, mostly built and designed similar to the kind of maps that the military uses for campaigning in the real world. The United States Army, I should say, uses. In this case, copyright 1984, Game Designer Workshop, GDW, Twilight 2000 campaign map for Poland. So what we got here is Berlin over here, Warsaw over here, Lodz, Krakow, and that's where their group initially starts out, is down here at Krakow. So this is a map. It's in color, but it's not heavily detailed. The road network is the main highway, interstate, and rivers is what they're going for here. And once again, it's serviceable for the type of game system it was played for. Would not necessarily work well in a hack and slash, but it might. It's hard to say. But that's a different style. So we go on to ICE, Iron Crown Enterprises, Middle Earth, which I've done a lot of. We've talked about them, right? So here's the Carndom map system. This came with the source book Carndom, and which I haven't reviewed at this moment. The one side shows the northern cap of the Misty Mountains and the Gray Mountains. So this is where Agmar. So Arnor's over here, Agmar's up here. This is the Misty Mountains. The Gray Mountains running across the top. Carndom is a huge Orcish citadel in the north, and in the back they give us a map of Carndom itself. The capital of, not to be confused with Mount Gunabad, mind you, is a major citadel for the Orcs and the seat of power for the Witch King. Right. So, and this came with not Carndom, came with the Witch King. Yeah, the Witch King, which I may or may not have done that one yet. Okay. Once again, yet another map from and I'm reason. All these maps were in a footlocker I had in the attic of my mom's house. Completely forgot where they were. I had despaired when I went and pulled out my stuff out of storage and inventoried it. Discovered a lot of things were missing. I still have not found my original D&D books, the red box, blue box sets. My original Rollmaster's missing, and a couple others I cannot find, and I was hoping to find them in the attic. And like I said, we're getting down to the wire of the clean out of the house, and I'm thinking they're gone. Somebody took them, or the mice ate them entirely, which I find hard to believe and slightly disturbing. But here's another map from Middle Earth, and these guys did a really credible job of making some good maps. And one of the things, their style of map making is reminiscent of the older style of game map making, because, now this is just my game theory here, and theory in general, I can't prove it or disprove it, but I think this is why. If you look at the maps that J.R.R. Tolkien made for his novels that were in the books, those maps are basically, these maps are basically clones of those maps on a larger scale. So they blow them up, and the details are quite similar to what he used. And he used the common map, I can't pronounce it, the icon stuff that they used to create maps in his era. So the hills were these little things, and a fen or a marsh would be these little hash with a and I learned to map make that way myself for my own stuff, and I liked it. And it tries to give some elevation some idea of the flow of the land and which direction the hills run and the rivers run and stuff like that. And they place ruins as well as watchtowers and major settlements and villages and so on in detail. And then, like I said, they give you the game map material back here for some of those locations. You know what I'm talking about here, right? This is what is this? Fun with maps, right? Okay. Then we get on to I don't have my Star Wars maps in here, but I have several. This one here came out of Forgotten Realms, Mesodisaband. I can never pronounce Blizzard of Arden's homeland's name. It's just a tongue twister for me, and I have a little bit of dyslexia anyway, so it makes it rough. And this one here is a very creative 3D map in a way. It's really meant to be a wall poster. I mean, look at the beautiful artwork there. You can see it. It's more of a poster, but it's actually a game aid. This shows the main grounds and layout of House Premier's home there in Mesodisaband. Remember how to hold the darn thing back up. That's always been a challenge of maps, as far as I'm concerned. Make them one thing, keeping them in good shape for another. One of the things that came out of that attic was a whole pile of maps I created, and some of them not so good, some of them better than others, much improved over the years from experience, and I threw most of them in a dumpster because I just didn't have any room for them. Oh yeah, this is a Star Wars map. I guess it was. West End Games, right? West End Games, very colorful, also 3D. See what this is. Other Space. For use of Star Wars, the role-playing game, Desolate. So this is some sort of asteroid or something, some living thing, a living ship thing from Other Space, which never made it into the official canon as far as I know, or the Legends canon. It might have. I think it's buried some. I could be wrong. The gist there would be somehow or another you're transitioning to another dimension, not just staying in the main universe, if you will. There's a secondary universe, and somehow or another you're crossing. I think they were starting to really try to, the game people were trying to branch off into something I'm not overly familiar with or comfortable with exactly why, but they did. It is what it is, right? Okie dokie. So, how important are maps to you? Are they just more than visual aids? Are they tools? I mean, I think if you use them the way they're intended for, they're an important visual aid and a tool. It helps keep track of the larger picture for the game, for where the players are heading or where they've been and where they're coming. Gives them locations. The good side or downside of this is having the bigger sandbox philosophy, right? Well, the big map gives them inspiration or ideas to go off into places you aren't prepared for, or maybe you just waiting for them to point the way. And then, of course, we all are familiar with our tactical maps, the little maps we make for the table. This helps us, even if it's just in our notes, just to keep track of the cavern system or the building that they're in. Sometimes we make an elaborate large version so we can use our miniatures or tokens or whatever to keep track of the lineup and where everybody's facing and so on and so forth. And it's I don't want to say it's an essential part of it, but it is a very valuable part of gaming. And certainly in some games, almost they are essential. If we were talking tabletop war games, you've got to have a good map. You have to, even if you have a crude map, you still need it because that's how you track your units and distance and range and stuff like that. So it just you know, it is what it is. I mean, I guess start to echo that one a lot. I couldn't, like I said, I found this stack of maps, and there's a lot more of them here, and I just thought I'd want to share, give you a little view of some of these things and the variety from all these different game systems over the years, and yet the similarity of quite a few of them, they're tied together, right? We tend to become familiar with certain style of things, and conformity, and everybody piles into that. When the chance to make 3D versions started coming out, that made things more interesting and gave us another dimension for map making. But for the most part, the 2D is still the main way of doing things, and probably will be for some time. Although I'm looking forward to the holographic version, so we can have it on the table without having to All right, so there you go. Part of my game theory, maps are or may or may not be essential, but they sure are useful.